Hi folks, welcome back. Thank you for watching. Please do hit subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It really does help when you do that. So today folks is new guitar day for me. This here is an H-535 from the Heritage. Now it always makes me laugh watching Heritage guitar videos on YouTube because every video starts exactly the same way, which is explaining who the Heritage are. So I'll do it very, very quickly today, but there's plenty of other videos out there if you want to find out a lot more about the company. Essentially, back in the late 1800s, Mr. Gibson opened his first factory at 225 Parsons Street in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And that factory was where all the old like 58, 59 burst Les Pauls and things were made. Now, as the company grew, they opened a second premises 500 miles down the road in Nashville. And for a while, they made guitars in both factories. But in, I think, 1984, Gibson made the decision to close the Kalamazoo factory and relocate everything to Nashville. Now, of course, most of the employees in Kalamazoo didn't want to move 500 miles away because they had families in Kalamazoo and they built their lives there. So a lot of the old luthiers kind of fell by the wayside. But there were 4 gentlemen who worked for Gibson in Kalamazoo who really believed in what they were doing, and they loved the sort of hand making of instruments in that factory. So what they did was they bought the premises from Gibson, including all the old machinery for building the guitars. And they had a sort of gentleman's agreement to carry on building pretty much exactly the same guitars, but just under a different brand name, to really keep the heritage of hand-making guitars at 225 Parsons Street going. And in 1985, the Heritage was born. So, as of course you might guess, this is very much inspired by a Gibson 335. And all the old machinery is still used to this day to make these guitars. So the press that kind of shapes the top is exactly the same press that would have made Eric's Albert Hall 335, B.B. King's Lucille. The exact same press was used to make this guitar, which makes me very, very happy. And until a few years ago, I believe the chap who bursted the old 58, 59, 60 burst Les Pauls was still there bursting guitars. So there was a very good possibility, I don't know for sure, there was a very good chance that he bursted this exact guitar because this was made back in 2011 when he was still there working, which he's not anymore. Now, in 2016, I think, the 4 chaps who owned the company and were helping to build the instruments, because of course they were a very good age back then, they were building guitars for Gibson back in the late 50s. So by 2016, you know, they are retirement age and a bit. So they sold the company, and it is now, I believe, as of 2016, owned at least in part by a big conglomerate. It is a little bit sad. And they really were hand building these instruments. When you hear Gibson, or people talk about old Gibsons, that no 2 necks are alike because they were all handmade, that's exactly the same with these. The bursting was all done by hand. The pressing was done using the machine, but by hand. You know, it is completely handmade with no computers, which, if you know anything about me and my channel, makes me very, very happy. Now, I only got this guitar yesterday. I drove from where I live in North Somerset down to South Somerset to buy it from a very nice chap called Mike. And all I've done to it so far is I put my strings on it and given it a quick setup. Now, I am going to be changing a few things about this guitar going forward. I'll explain more about that at the end of the video. But all I wanted to do today was explain a little bit about what this instrument is, what it's inspired by, how it was made, and just show you how it sounds in its completely stock form. Now, there's a couple of things I really do love about it. Firstly, the thing that seems to divide people most about these Heritage guitars is the headstock. A lot of people don't like the pointy headstock. I think it looks fantastic, the sort of streamlined shape. I really, really like it. Aside from the fact you kind of expect to see a Gibson headstock on a guitar this shape, I think it looks fantastic. So let me know in the comments if you agree on that. I know a lot of people don't. Now, the 2 things I love most about this guitar is, firstly, they've changed one thing about it, which I'm so thankful for. They've taken the jack off the front and put it on the side. And if you've ever played a Gibson ES guitar with any sort of gusto, you'll know that you're forever banging the jack and risking smashing it out of the top and ruining the guitar. So having it on the side like a Les Paul is so much more to my tastes. But I think my favourite thing is the top, and I think the back looks even better. What I really, really like about it is, in certain lights, it looks like a really nice bit of wood, but fairly plain. But then as you turn it, the light hits it in such a way that it just explodes in this absolutely gorgeous tiger-like flame. And it looks just absolutely stunning. It's a real sort of chameleon. It changes as the light hits it. So I'm absolutely loving that. So I've wanted a really, really top quality 335 style guitar for a long, long time. and this has ended my search. It is so beautifully made. Gibson get a bit of a bad rap for their QC, and I've got Nashville-made Gibsons, Memphis Gibsons, Nashville custom shop Gibsons out there, and in terms of build quality, I think this pretty much trumps them all. The QC is just absolutely great. You can tell it's been built by hand. It's a little bit kind of wobbly in places, but I love that it's been crafted by human beings using tools rather than computers. That makes me so happy to know that, until recently at least, guitars were still being made that way in 225 Parsons Street. So I'm going to show you how it sounds, and then at the end of the video talk about the few things I want to tweak on it. But without further ado, guys, let's get going. So there we are, folks. Now please do comment underneath, let me know what you think of this guitar. Would you buy one of these over a 335? I love hearing your opinions and chatting nerdy guitar stuff with you guys in the comment sections. Now, as I said at the start of the video, I only picked this guitar up yesterday, and all I've done to it is I put my strings on it and given it a quick setup. Haven't changed anything else about it. Now, in terms of the feel of the instrument, it is absolutely spot on. The neck is kind of chunky, it's a sort of 50s style neck, but it doesn't feel big, it doesn't feel cumbersome, it's just so nice to play. You can get the action so low without anything fouling out anywhere. I've put my 12 to 64 strings on it, and I haven't had to adjust the truss roll at all. It's just rock solid. So in terms of build quality and looks, it's just an absolutely stunning instrument. Now, I am going to change the electronics a little bit, because this guitar currently has the Seymour Duncan 59s in it, which is Seymour Duncan's kind of slightly, they're not antiquities, they're kind of the rung of the ladder beneath that. They're kind of PAF replicas. Now, I'm guessing, I haven't really Googled these pickups, I'm guessing these are probably wax potted, because they weren't feeding back sitting in front of the amp today. The guitar was, but the pickups weren't squealing, which would usually be a good thing. But to my ears, PAF type pickups, when they're potted, seem to lack a little bit of kind of clarity and snap when you're sort of digging into the guitar, and these pickups sound a little bit more compressed than what I would typically want out of a PAF. When I was digging into the guitar, the clean picking at the beginning of the video, usually I'd want to put a compressor on for that, whereas for this guitar I didn't need to, it was already quite squishy. And when I was digging into the guitar, I was kind of wanting it to explode out of the speaker a little bit more than it was. So it is a little bit compressed with these pickups in there. I've got a set of the Monty's PAFs in the cupboard over there, so I'm going to put them in this guitar in the next few days. Now, I'm also going to put some VI pots in this guitar, again because I love the taper of them, but also they're overvalued. They're 550k rather than 500. I'm assuming 500s are in here, and again that'll give me a little bit more kind of snap and clarity and sparkle out of the Monty's PAFs when they're in here. The last thing I'm going to change is, I'm guessing at the moment, I don't know because I haven't looked inside this guitar yet, I'm guessing the pots are wired using the modern wiring schematic rather than the 50s wiring, because when I was rolling the guitar's volume down today, I was losing more high end than I'm used to in my other guitars with 50s wiring. So I'm going to change it to 50s wiring. I much prefer that schematic. But overall, as an instrument to kind of pimp up a little bit, this is just absolutely stunning. As I said, the build quality is amazing. Knowing it was done by hand by, the old people, Gibson employees, it just makes me so happy. It's exactly what, sort of ethos I like in a guitar company. So, as I said, please do comment underneath, guys. Let me know what you think of this guitar. Would you buy one of these over a 335? Do you like how it sounds? Would you change anything? I love chatting about that sort of nerdy stuff with you guys in the comment section. And as I always say, please do carry on subscribing. I know it gets a bit boring, but it really does help when you guys subscribe to this channel and helps me to grow what I'm doing here. So thank you ever so much for watching, folks. I hope this video was interesting and useful for you. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.